Well, hello there, and welcome to episode 25 of the podcast, Jump Into Success. Okay, let's get going. Alrighty. I hope you are well. Happy New Year to you. I trust you had a good Christmas and some New Year's celebrations and everything went well for you. The weather has been, well, I'm going to say challenging. Went out for my walk this morning and the wind and the cold were just something else, I can tell you. The lane at the bottom of where we live is completely flooded with water coming out of the drain rather than going in. So that tells you something about the amount of rain that we have had. But there we go, it is January, I guess. We live in the Northern Hemisphere. We're going to get this kind of weather from time to time. And I guess with climate change, it's probably going to get not much better than that. So we're going to all do our bit and recycle and turn the lights off and do all the things you got to do to save the planet. Now then, here we are. So Happy New Year once again. I will, of course, at this time of year, remind everybody that now is a good time to make a plan for 2025. Or as we're saying in the Be Inspired group, thrive in 25. We're going to thrive in 2025. And how are we going to do that? We're going to do that by having a plan. We're going to have a plan for success, for changing, for growing, for becoming more than we were in the previous year. Now, you might ask the question, or I have asked the question, I think, on social media, if last year was perfect and you don't need to make any changes and life will continue to be beautiful and fulfilling and successful and all of the goodness, then you don't need to worry about it. Why make any changes? But I'm going to suggest that most of us probably feel we could do a little bit better, have a bit more fun, a bit more excitement, a bit more success in our lives. And to do that, you need to have a plan. So I've got a couple of things to share with you. And the first one is 7 or 8 just kind of key ideas that you might want to consider to, well, just basically to improve things and sort of make a bit of a start. So the first one is a bit of reflection. Reflect on the last year. Now, over the last few months in the podcast and, of course, in the Be Inspired group with UKCPD-TV and all of that, we were talking about, the point of reflection is a great foundation to, set goals for the future. But if you haven't done any of that, maybe now's a good time just to take 5 to 10 minutes. And this is the thing, it doesn't need to be a long time. Just take 5 to 10 minutes and just sit quietly with a pen and some paper, pencil and pad, whatever it might be, and just do a little bit of reflective practice. It really, really does pay dividends. And the key things I want you to think about, okay, first off, assess all of the accomplishments that you've had in 2024. Now you might think, well, what do you mean all of the accomplishments? This is the problem. Most people downplay their successes because they just take them for granted. So just spend a little time, okay, what actually happened? What did I succeed in? What things did I tick off my list? What growth, what successes, what personal milestones or professional milestones did I pass in 2024? So that's the first thing. Now the second thing is some things will have gone wrong. Of course they will. And mistakes will have happened. And, the milk gets spilt metaphorically and so on. So what's the key learning from the challenges or the things that went wrong in 2024? What's the message? What's the lesson to be learnt? Well, you tried something, it didn't work out quite as planned, but there's some feedback. So what's the key lesson? Now, maybe as you go through the first part, the accomplishments, assessing your accomplishments, you think, wait a minute, that didn't quite work out. Great. So what's the learning? And then the third part of that is, okay, what habits have I got that maybe I ought to stop? What habits, daily or weekly habits that I've got, things I do by routine that maybe are holding me back? Maybe I should think about stopping doing a few things that are holding me back, and perhaps new, regular, positive, upbuilding habits and routines can be put in place. So that's the first part. Now, the second part is about, this time of year, people talk about setting a goal. We would always say a well-formed outcome, not some kind of vague goals. Some goals are vague. New Year's resolutions tend always to be very vague. We're going for some detailed, well-formed outcomes. And there are lots of ways of doing this. The SMARTS model, we've written lots of articles on the website about this. But SMARTS, SMARTS, it takes the SMART model, which most people are familiar with, and kind of makes it well formed. So we go specific, measurable, achievable, resourced, time frame, and then clear about what steps to keep things going. So, set yourself a well-formed goal. That's the next thing that you really need to do. Be crystal clear about what it is you want to achieve in 2025, and break that down into smaller steps. So in January, I'm committing to do this. This is how I'm going to do it. This is the resources I'm going to use, and this will be the criteria that I'm going to use to assess my progress. Which goes on to point 3, is about having that plan, that it's crystal clear and other people know about it so that they can support you. Other people know about it so that they can support you. And there are lots of ways that people can support you. It can be by offering, moral support, or maybe helping out with some kind of resource or time. It could be anything. Or it could be even that kind of person that is annoying, but they're kind of useful in a way. They go, you said you'd do this and you haven't. And that can be also quite motivational for some people, a real away from meta program, if you will. And the next thing that I want to mention is this notion of having some kind of developmental plan, some personal or professional development plan. And as always, I will suggest that there are 2 key things that are really worth studying. One is NLP. Why would I suggest that? Well, because I always think studying NLP is part of this notion of, basically acquiring the skills for success in the modern world. So what am I talking about? Enhanced communication skills, improved emotional intelligence, the ability to set and achieve goals and help other people to do the same, conflict resolution, and so on and so on. Lots and lots of skills you get from studying NLP. And I combine that, of course, with learning coaching skills, the framework for coaching. Because you empower those 2 things together, you really become a very successful person, a very useful member of a team. Because you can empower others, you've got a better type of leadership, great problem-solving ability, and of course this notion of enhancing your self-awareness. Combining those 2 things, I always do recommend that. It worked for me, it works for my clients, it really, really does pay dividends in that investment. The next thing I'd like you to consider, maybe something you might want to think about doing, is to cultivate really solid resilience. The world can be, I'm going to go challenging at the moment. There's a lot of strange things going on in politics. Some people saying some pretty crazy things online. The economy is getting better, maybe, but we're not quite there yet. So resilience, just kind of how am I dealing with all of this stuff? And taking that time every now and again, at least I always say once a week with your journaling. I'm always reminding people to have a journal, and to celebrate the small wins that you've had in the last 7 days. At least once a week, just sit yourself down, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, peace and quiet, and just, okay, what happened this week? And that will really help. And then celebrate those little wins and things that you've learned from, what was that thing that person said? Yeah, that was really inspirational. Which leads on to this notion of staying committed to this notion of lifelong learning, because that is the real thing that makes a big difference over a big period of time. And then the last thing I want to add for this particular podcast is, Dr. Michael Mosley passed away last year, and I was a great fan of his and his kind of common sense science TV shows and radio shows. But one of the things that really stuck with me was the just one thing idea, just do one thing. And I was thinking about this just as kind of New Year went by. I was thinking, one thing. What one thing are we going to do here at the college? What one thing do I really want to do for myself? And I've set some goals for the company, the college, and also for myself. And it seems that there's a lot of science around this one thing and how that really, really works. In fact, we've got a whole article on the website called, let me just check that. It's just do one thing. It's a pathway to positive change. It really is worth looking at it, some neuroscience. And so here are some couple of ideas from this article. If you don't go to look at it, I'll put the link in the studio notes, episode notes. So, develop strong habits, but, practice mindfulness. Just take that time. Or set clear priorities. Break down big goals into smaller chunks, actionable steps. We often say in NLP, have this great big vision, great, but break it down into small, manageable chunks. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, so that you don't become overwhelmed by your goals. Quite often this time of year, people set New Year's resolutions, and they're great ideas, and they're maybe inspiring and a great vision, and you think, wow, that's a great idea, but it's just too big, and people lose interest because they just think, oh, I'm never going to get there. You break it down into smaller chunks, it really does make a big difference, and then you can sort of tick things off as you go. Cultivate self-discipline, this notion of discipline being a good thing to have for yourself. So those of you who have seen the videos that we do when I'm out walking, I think it was the other day, it was absolutely freezing cold and blowing a gale, but I was still out doing my walking because one of my things, just do one thing, was get a little bit fitter, lose some weight. And so that discipline to get out even when it's cold and wet and horrible, just have that discipline to do what you need to do. And there are lots of ways you can do that. There's lots of models and things, and just read the article and you'll be able to look at that for yourself. Embrace the power of reflection. I've already talked about that. Journaling is really, really powerful. Celebrate your small wins and adopt this growth mindset. Really have this notion of yes, I can, rather than no, I can't, or I'm no good, or this fear of failure, because everything you want, everything you've ever wanted, is on the other side of failure, as somebody once said. So just apply this notion of just do one thing in your daily life. It really will make a big difference. Now, all of that in mind, Tony, people often say to me, Tony, yes, this is all very well, and I'm very motivated, and I really enjoy the podcast and all the other things that you do, the videos and so on, but it's hard work, life's busy, I'm spinning plates, I've got the family, I've got work, I've got this, I've got that. I understand that. So the college is here to support you 100% of the way. Now, through the podcast, obviously, and we've got loads of people lined up for interviews, some very, very different people, I have to say. So be sure to tune in for those. But also there's the Be Inspired group, and I'm always encouraging people to join the Be Inspired group because it's totally free, 100% free, and you've got access to ongoing daily, weekly, and a monthly top-up of motivational, inspirational, and educational content that really will help accelerate your personal and professional growth. So just join. It's free. You get regular stuff in your inbox, plus the live events, plus all the coaching videos, and all of the other content that's in the Be Inspired group on our website. So I recommend that because that is our main way of supporting you. Obviously, we've got Think Big, it's just the journal on the website. Every week we put new articles on there and all sorts of things around personal development. And of course, there's UKCPD-TV, a growing library of training videos on the website as well. Alrighty, that's a short one for the first one back for into the new year. Once again, Happy New Year to you, and let's all work together to thrive in 2025. There are lots of challenges, of course there are, but there's also lots of opportunity. And I think if we develop the right mindset, we develop our skills, and we work together, we really can make 2025 a fantastic year of personal and indeed professional success. Alrighty, till the next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.